Alright, what up, y'all? So, I wasn't even gonna make a video on these. I was just gonna do them, get them done, and get out. But in the midst of doing all of that, realizing how tough these lights were, I decided to look around, see who else did, and didn't seem to find any type of help online as far as opening these lights. So, just a heads up, this is like a 2006 Tahoe. So, whatever year they make that the bubble headlights, where it's two lights, one for the headlight, one for like the signal lights and stuff. It's those years, but super hard to open. So like these, I don't know what it is. I don't know what material this is or none of that, but the sealant they're using here is so strong, and the gap between the housing and the lens is super tight. But what ended up working, I put it in the oven for 225 degrees for about 15 minutes. And I was finally able to kind of pry in right here. And then pry this way and then back this way and around. So I ended up having to put it in the oven like 2 or 3 different times. And I didn't want to do too much heat at once because I didn't want to mess anything up. But eventually I was able to heat them up and get them open. So comes out like that once you finally get it open, but it's a bunch of sealant in here, and then it really dries up like rubber, so it's real tough. So once you get it apart, you want to scrape all of this out, and I still got some left on this piece. So like this little rubber right here, like you want to get all of that out the way, because once you get done, it's time to seal it back up. You got to put new sealant in, and you don't want none of this old stuff because you won't have a seal. But once you get that apart, this comes out too. And let's see. It's tough to do with one hand because it's still kind of hooking in here. So let me pause y'all for a second and get this apart. Alright, I'm back. So you get this apart, and you're left with this piece. I went ahead and took the halos off that came with it. It was just 2 screws on the back holding them. But like this one, I already got it ready. So the color shift rings that fit, this is gonna be a 90mm ring. And your wires will come right through the bottom where the normal wires went through. But you can kind of see, you have to kind of etch out a little bit on both sides so the ring can actually sit in and sit flush. So give you an idea of what this looks like. Alright, so once your ring goes in, you kind of see how it kind of sits in the groove down there. And it'll sit just a little bit lower, but the 3 of them will hold it in place. And I still have to cut the grooves for this one over here, but this is about what you'd be looking at, so it'd be color shift rings in both, same over here. And I got these, I just got to cut the grooves in this one, put the 3M on it, and then I'm going to paint it. It'll be painted black housing, and then once the paint dries, I'll go ahead and put these rings in and seal it back up, and then figure something out for the fogs. But just figured I'd put a little bit of something together because this was a struggle. And just in case somebody else decides to do one of these, I'm pretty sure, unless something else changes, there won't be any videos to help. So hopefully this will help you out. But let me go ahead and finish cutting this one up so the rings will fit, and then get the 3M ready. Alright, so once you get the bottom groove set, you good on this one. But on this ring, closer towards the outside, I ended up doing like a little groove in here, just so once it sets in, it'll fit just perfect in there, as you can see. So you got to do that little notch. And I just had found this little file, a round file, so just kind of etched that in there. And after that, the ring should set in right. So go ahead and do the 3M on this one to get it ready for paint. Alright, so I'm in the process of painting these the headlight, whatever, the part of the headlight, the inside part. But these sequential lights finally came in, so I've been waiting on these for like a week and a half. But this is the signal light, park light thing or whatever. So I still gotta open this. But these finally came in, and I think this is like a 2-foot roll, but it's gonna go across the bottom like that, and then it's gonna curve like so, something like that. But like I said, I still gotta get this open first before I can do anything. So once I get it open, then I'll figure something out, and all of this will be painted black too. So at least they came in. So let me go ahead and show y'all what it's looking like with the paint on the headlights. Alright, so housings are being painted. This is just one coat. I'm using some black engine enamel paint. Same type of paint I used when I painted my headlights in the Impala. So one coat of this, I'm gonna let this dry, and I'll probably do maybe 2 more coats, and it should be good to go. And it dries real glossy. Don't have to worry about heat from the engine, heat from the headlights, none of that, because it's made for engine heat, so it'll be good. So I can get this 2 more coats. Like once this kind of dries up some more, I'll give it 2 more coats, and then I can put these back together and start working on the lower lights. Alright, so here we go. The first one that's paint is dry. I got the 3M pulled off of this one. So I'll go ahead and put one of these rings on. Make sure it's good, then I'll do the other side. Alright, I got the rings put on, housings painted. So the paint is still kind of soft, so I'm gonna let this sit overnight, and cause it's freezing cold, so I can't put it outside. But I'm gonna let this sit overnight, let everything dry, and tomorrow I'm gonna come by and put everything back together and seal them up with these headlights, seal everything in. So yeah, I guess this is it until tomorrow, or a second from now for y'all. So here we go. Alright, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say these little marker lights or whatever they are almost impossible to open in the oven. So just partly because the sealing is so strong, and the other reason is because you can't really reach in here with a screwdriver and pry anything due to the way the angles are set up. Like, I don't know if you can see it good in this video, but the glass from the lens overhangs all around this, so you can't really pry on it without messing up the glass. Like, you see it's got like a little line in this one. So what I did was, it was on 230 for about 11-12 minutes or something like that. I think I did it twice, and I got it hot enough to where the glue on this end would pop loose, and I barely kind of pried in here and got it loose from about here to like here. After that, just came outside, and so I hadn't done this one yet, but this seam right here, like the edge of this plastic all the way across, all the way on both sides, I just cut it right at that seam. And so I was finally able to get this one open. And it shouldn't be anything that like, it fits in place when it's time to close it. So all I have to do is just, once I close it, just put a layer of sealant all the way around it, and let that dry. So it'll hold, but yeah, you definitely not, well, I wasn't getting in there with heat, so it wasn't working for me without doing damage to the actual light. So it was safer just to go ahead and cut it and a whole lot quicker. So I got it open. So now I got all of this is getting painted black, and I'm adding the LED strip in here. So I'm gonna figure out how I want to set up this strip, and then I'll go ahead and mount the brackets for it, and then paint everything, and then piece it back together. So stay tuned. Alright, so as you can see, I went ahead and notched the holes in those 2 spots. So that'll be for the LED strip with a tube to lay in, and it'll loop around. So let me go grab that real quick so you can see exactly how that's gonna look before I get it all painted. Alright, so the paint is dry on these, so they're good to go. Just time to run the wires through here, and I'm gonna run them right through the hole where the original halo wires went. But since this has got the 4 prongs for the RGB, it's not the hole is barely too small. So I'm gonna put a notch on both sides of that so I can get the wires through, and then I'll be able to get them set up and get ready to get them sealed. Alright, so you can see just a little notch in there, and that should be enough for the wires to slide right through. So there you go. And so I go ahead and put both of those through, and I'm gonna run some black RTV all the way around here, seal everything back together, and these headlights come with like a clamp on both sides. So once I get them in, I'm just gonna clamp it down and let the clamps hold it, and that'll hold it till it dries in place. Alright, I'm back. I don't know where I left off. I hadn't really been looking at none of this footage, but fog lights are open. I ended up cutting them open, so about to go ahead and prime them and let that dry. Then I'm gonna paint them with the gloss black. So we gonna get ready. Alright, so black paint is on here. So I'm gonna let this dry overnight, and then I'll go ahead and mount the LED strip once that's dry. But for now, the headlights are put together. The ceiling is still drying on that one. I did this one yesterday, so I just gotta wipe off some of this, some of that black RTV they got on the lens, but that's nothing to do. It'll roll right off. And I got to clean up some of these edges just where it was like, just to make it look a little prettier. You won't see that part once it's on the truck, but, I'm going to do it anyway, just to make sure everything is good. But seal it all the way around. Once the sealant dries on both of them, put a little sealant on the back. You can see like the hole where the wires come out. I just put a little extra sealant on that just to make sure no water gets in that way, no moisture or anything gets in. But other than that, these are almost ready to go. So fast forward, I got the lights in the fog light. They come with this little plastic. So you see it there, the little clear plastic piece. So I slid that on there, and I got 3M tape holding it to the housing. Same as on this side, put 2 pieces, 2 of the clear things. There you go. And twisted it and got the 3M on it. Now since I cut this one open, I can't just snap it back on and it just holds. So I got these rubber bands in place holding it together. And I'm just gonna go over the whole edge with that silicone. And I got some plastic weld. I might use some of that on a few anchor spots just to hold it all the way tight and let that dry, and then fill it with the RTV. You see this little piece right here cracked, so I gotta use a little bit more just to cover that gap. But other than that, it should be good to go once it's sealed, and the wires just come right through the top, so it'll be sealing all over that, so that'll be covered. So it'll still be a permanent seal, and I'll be able to take the rubber bands off and it'll hold just like nothing ever happened to it. Alright. So this is the little bracket that I was talking about. If the camera will focus, but yeah. This little thing. So I got 2 on this one, the bottom part. Then it's gonna be 1 at the top. I'm just gonna cut some of this 3M and that'll hold it in place. Just testing out these lights. So this is gonna be white. This will be like the park light. This is gonna be the signal light. So you see how it's gonna work. It's both the signal lights going. It's been a fun project, but Tahoe lights are boxed up, ready to take them to UPS in the morning and get them shipped out.